Hello, welcome back to the Don Pod. For the first time in 56 whole days, we are recording a podcast. Lots has happened. We've had a best and fairest, which yours truly attended. Good fun. Good fun. Nothing special about that, I admit, but good fun. And you left me at work, and I couldn't handle it, so I left.
You left yourself?
As well. And we're here today, whenever you're listening, to talk about the trade period. I'm joined by...
And the upcoming...
And the draft, yeah. Boring. Oops. Just knocked my whole setup over. I'm joined by the illustrious Nathan.
Hello, Sam.
Not even
How
sure I know what that means, but I am well. How are you?
Oh, just pumped.
Since we last spoke.
The weather is warming. Mowing my grass all the time.
You are.
Midlife. It's really just... Thank God I've got sport, really, because there's nothing else to live for. Your children forever disappoint you. Your wife.
That's not nice. That's not nice. Let's not go there.
And yet here I am on a podcast with you, spending my evenings talking to you about the Essendon Football Club in November.
It is November, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it the first or second?
This is the life we lead. People, if you're out there listening right now, feel a little sorry for us because this is what we do.
No, the wheel keeps on turning. Our competition, you'd call them, the other wonderful fan podcasts have been recording and
have they?
Doing
is this why we're doing it? I just thought we
got to keep up.
Good.
Can't fall too far behind the rest. Anyway, agenda will be, let's talk about some retired players, and then we'll talk about some delisted players, and then we'll talk about some traded players, and little insider information here. We nearly forgot BZT in that list. We would have had to quit.
We were going through against 10. I thought there was more. Are we missing someone? And then I went and read the...
BZT. Yeah. Then we'll talk about some players we got in. All four of them. Spoiler alert. And then, as Nathan so delicately pointed out, we will talk about the draft as well, which is Nathan's domain, and I will shut up at that point.
No, you will be involved.
Okay, retirees. Anthony McDonald-Tipungwuti. No surprise. Great little player for us. I don't know what else you say about Waller. Just
a great little player for us.
One of those ones you love watching, and
very much a team or crowd favourite.
Absolute crowd favourite. Hope he stays. They did. And they don't just write a song about no one.
No.
Except Eileen.
Unless you're Kazali.
I don't know who Eileen was. But anyway.
Oh, your last name's Kazali?
Oh, Kazali. Yep, sure. I hope he stays around the club. I do. You know, I think it's important from the Indigenous front, but also being a much loved
from the
individual
just as the
front
person he is
as well. Yeah. And the other retiree who retired, Phillips, at 32, fairly young.
I thought he was older than that.
Oh, better fact.
I'm going to trust you though. This is not the time to argue.
Well, you pointed out, then I got to sort of check, don't I?
Well, if they're listening now, they've already wrote about it, BZT.
I can't type properly. 32. Thank you very much. Just wants to fade off into his life down in Tassie, I believe.
Yeah.
So
he's moved back to Tassie, which is wonderful. I'd live in Tassie. Tassie's beautiful.
Yes, Tassie's lovely. Didn't replace him with a younger ruckman, but quite possibly a better ruckman. So
we went older.
Make of that what you will. Excuse me. We're not going to dwell too much on the delisted players. We'll talk about one in particular. And apologies if we've missed one. Be grateful we thought of BZT. Let me just reel them off first.
The more interesting thing was, and we probably didn't research this, so it's bad of me to have brought it up right now, is that there will be a list of 11, counting the retirements. And I wonder how that compares to other years, really would be, what we should have looked at, which I feel bad saying it.
I believe we've delisted or traded otherwise 25% of our list.
Yeah.
It's essentially what we've done. So
yep,
that's a big change. Snelling, Voss, Stewart, Lord, McBride, Montgomery, Mancura. I think Mancura was delisted, but I think there were some other things there.
Just to go home, you wanted to go home.
Yeah. So the only one I really want to mention, because it got a lot of airtime on X, formerly Twitter, and that is Paddy Voss.
Yeah.
Won the VFL Best and Fairest. Won the VFL goal kicking with 30 goals in 18 games, which isn't overly
When you
Impressive.
say the VFL goal, not the whole, just our team.
Just the Essendon VFL goal kicking
Yep.
award.
Sorry. Yep. I
Um,
say that's crap if you did.
no, and we were one of the groups of people calling for him to play. Felt
Towards the
like
end, yeah,
at the
definitely.
time a natural sort of replacement for Stringer when he was injured, but just never got a go. And I think, to me, what speaks volumes is that no one else came for him.
You're right. No, and I still haven't heard of any other club has. If he's training with another club, maybe maybe in the next few months we might hear something like that. But it's surprising because like his size and his attributes are all there to be a good modern football player. Like he's tall, he's strong, he's a good lead up forward. Probably if you got a bit of more fitness, a bit like Stringer, you could play more midfield. You'd think, but I don't know.
It didn't pan out.
Yeah,
I think we have to be careful as supporters, and I mean this as a whole, not just me and you, that we don't get carried away with, what are they doing? When in the next breath we're crying for change and want all these things to change. And we bought Brad Scott in, we changed our president, and we did all this. We can't then get upset when they big fat go.
Sometimes you have to
things.
just trust the process and trust the people that are making the decisions. And now that is hard sometimes when it's hard when you've seen it go wrong.
Yes.
But, I guess that's the whole thing of football is that you be prepared to be burnt again because you'll just go, I'll just trust them, let them know that they're the experts. They know what they're doing.
I use Richmond as an example here, and more so off-field than player, but sold all their games up in Cairns, were an absolute embarrassment when they lost to Gold Coast with a Carmichael Hunt goal after the siren, if you recall that. Cleared their debt, did all that, won 3 flags in 4 years. Obviously not going to happen for every club.
No,
but they identified where they were lacking. They fixed it. They got it right.
And then when you got the right people in the administrative roles too, like the Brendan Gales and
got the right players.
Yeah, and what's the guy that came from Collingwood that was
their pitch?
No. He's was their football director.
It was really Gale. Oh, I know who you mean. It was Gale and Peggy.
Yeah, but I reckon the football director guy that came, I think he came from Collingwood. Neil Baum.
That was,
maybe
I don't know where that comes from.
I don't know. But he was also, I think, very instrumental in getting that club up and running a bit better too.
Yeah. So, that's my point really. We can't go crying foul because we think one guy who won a VFL best and fairest. And pro tip, great VFL players don't make good AFL players.
That's right. I guess what we hope will be happening is that in 5 or 10 years from now, that some other club will be saying, I remember when Essendon, was delisting all their players, and we thought, what the hell are they doing? That then they went on to win 3 flags. Maybe that was somebody.
I'll take one. Don't need 3. Let's not be greedy.
Yeah.
We do have Collingwood now joining us on 16, which is a rather unfortunate change from the last time we spoke.
Quick, briefly talk about how painful that was to watch?
I thought it was a fantastic game of football.
It was not saying that.
It was one of the better grand finals that we've actually had.
That's not my point.
Look, they deserved it. You got to hold your hands up sometimes and just say they finished on top of the ladder.
It's the Collingwood supporters, though.
No. Let's be honest. It's one Collingwood supporter, and
there's a few of them.
And you didn't have to deal with that particular Collingwood supporter who was putting posters on people's desks.
Yep. Won't name names, Darren.
No, he won't. He won't listen. No. Although he was crying foul that there was no Don Pod on YouTube and he couldn't listen to us.
Yeah, well, we can now. Anyway, send him a link when this one's up.
Yep. He gets a mention. He'll feel special. Anyway, 16. So pressure's on now. I unfortunately think Carlton are in a far better position to win 17. But anyway.
Remember when you used to... sorry, we digress, but you remember when you used to say, who do you think's closer to a premiership?
Oh, it was always us.
Yeah, and then...
It'll be Collingwood to get 17 first. It'd be like the third of 2 options.
Yeah.
We've had 23 years to win number 7. Carlton have had slightly longer. What have we been doing? Anyway.
Yeah,
All right. That's depressing. And then the outgoings in terms of traded players. Massimo D'Ambrosio, a bit of a strange one. Not a massive loss in any regard, but quite strange that he wanted out and went to Hawthorn. Fair enough.
Well, it's strange he wanted. Obviously, we'd offered him, from what I've read, he was offered 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted 2.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting that at Hawthorn. That's fair enough, but
fair enough. Whatever, mate. I mean, one of those picks ended up at Port, I believe, or something happened with the 4th round.
Yeah,
we lost
right.
a 4th round, then got a 4th round, so it was a bit Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough. Part of me is a bit like, yeah, but we got you out of the bloody VFL, mate. Like, where's the bit of the like? We're the
Loyalty.
one that took a risk for you in the
Yeah,
first
but if he
place.
can get 2 years, bit of job security, fair
Yeah,
enough.
but he could have taken 1 year from us. He might get 2 years after. I don't know. Anyway, you're probably
Yeah,
right.
I agree with
I'll
you.
move on.
But, loyalty's dead, whatever.
Yep.
The other one traded out, which we remembered at the 11th hour, was Brandon Zerk Thatcher, whose Anzac Day jumper I own. So if anyone is interested in buying that off me, message us on Facebook. Swear to God, if I got Joe Danaher's signed photo from being a player sponsor many, many years ago that even my Brisbane supporting friends don't want.
Please do not get Draper's jumper.
Well, I've got
Please.
Langford's, and if he leaves,
he's never leaving, so you're fine there.
I met him. This is an awkward encounter. I met him at the BNF, and I said, "Oh, I bought your, and he goes, "Oh, thanks." I'm like, "Oh, I wasn't looking for thanks, but okay." It was awkward. Not as awkward as calling Jaden Davey Elwyn and him calling me out on that.
I won't tell you about all the photos that he sent to me, people. That
Hey, you were interested. Don't lie.
I was interested, but he just looked a bit pissier as the night went on.
It's a great night.
And shorter. Actually, you look shorter.
Yeah, well, you take a photo with Sam Draper and look tall. It's a fantastic night. Highly recommend. BZT was the other out, which was expected. It was requested. It was the go home factor, which, whatever, it's a common thing these days.
It's a good excuse, I think.
It took until 7:26 on the last night of the trade period that closed at 7:30, but it got done. Now, I don't want to talk about Dersma too much yet, but that trade was just awful. The fact that, we were sitting there as fans, and we used to work with a Port Adelaide supporter who were kind of going, well, straight swap, what do you think? Because we quite often overvaluate our own players. And he kind of went, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. So there was a kind of agreement. We're only fans. But
well, I think the only issue there was that Dersma was contracted either for a year or two, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and
whereas BCT was at the end of a contract. So that adds value to Dersma.
Yes, but then to agree to just 2 4th-round picks, who gives a shit? Honestly.
You barely use 4th-round picks, and I'm pretty sure Port Adelaide won't. But
I know we get a rap for being hard to deal with and all that nonsense, but Jesus Christ, look at Geelong for their radical.
I was going to say Geelong seemed with the new arseholes
who cried foul and then traded like fucking 6th-round picks. But yeah, just frustrating, and we still get the bad rap, and Dodoro's still selling papers. And
what do you? Oh no, wait, I'll go so off topic straight away. But let's stay on topic.
No, go.
I was going to say, do you think Port Adelaide have made great decisions bringing in Radigalia and BZT? Because to me, they're not like.
This is going to be awfully biased. I think BZT's a safer bet in that he's played consistent football over the last 2 years. Radigalia is bigger, stronger, defender. But he hasn't played.
But he's not a good defender. I've watched him play, and I had him in my fantasy team at the start of this year, and I was like, oh my God, what?
And if they're in Nathan's fantasy team, he watches them with a burning passion, let me tell you.
But he wasn't like, I was like, oh, you're crap, mate. You're big, but you're crap.
They're very much, who they get in as well. There's a ruckman, wasn't there?
Yeah, they got the one out of the Bulldogs, didn't they?
Oh, Jordan Sweet. Yep. It reeks very much of a club very desperate to win a premiership very soon. They'll get years out of Radigalia and BZT for sure. But
that's right.
That's
the unknown is getting to, I won't say great football, but just decent football players. Will that solve the problem? Will that fill all the holes? Time will tell. It's more than likely it will, because you don't necessarily need stars, but
no, but if they don't win a flag, they're going to be screwed again for a very long time. Come 3 or 4 years time, they've got pick 73. That is it currently. So
but you have to have 3 picks in the draft.
Yeah, I'm assuming there'll be some more. The draft picks can still be traded up until draft night.
Anyway, that's enough Port Adelaide talk.
That's enough Port, but yeah, they need to win a flag, otherwise it's going to blow up quite.
So they do before Collingwood. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Right then, on to the incoming players, and we're going to do this in order.
The new most loved players of our club.
Obviously, we're going to do this in the order in which they came into the football club. So. First cab off the rank is Todd Goldstein, who
Big Goldie.
315 games for North Melbourne.
That's gonna really increase our average game and average
our
age.
average, both of them have shot up. We're like mid-table now when we were bottom 4 or top 4, however you look at it, in both categories. Played 20 games in 2023, has been fairly...
Australian many times, great player.
He played 17 games in 2020 of a possible 17, I imagine, because that's one final. 19 in 2017. Other than that, he's in the 20s all the way back to 2009.
I was going to say, I don't remember Goldstein being injured. Touchwood?
Touchwood, of course. That is incredible.
Yeah, durable old bastard.
For a big bloke as well. He's 201 centimetres and 103 kilos. That is quite large.
Be very interesting to see how we use him in that. I think you and I have talked about this, that we get the messaging that Draper's a bit injured and having an operation, so probably will miss the start of the year. So Goldstein and maybe Brian will play, or depending on how they go with their forward structure. But it'll be interesting to see how if when Draper is back fully fit, how Goldstein plays, if he's in front of Brian or they nurse Brian through the year and send him to the VFL, or
there was an interview on, it was Dwayne Russell, EACN, shortly after he was traded or picked up, whatever you want to call it, and Goldie basically said, look, it's very unlikely that one ruckman will play 22 games in a season anyway, other than him, because he's done it like 400 times. So I think there's a bit of a feel that he sees himself as number 3, but acknowledging that both Draper and Brian won't play every game. So he's going to, like Phillips this year, he's going to get game time in that. I think it's a good pickup for us. I think we might get maybe 2 years out of him. A developmental thing for Brian. I reckon that'd be huge.
Yeah,
he's been a good ruckman for forever and a day.
He's been a top 3 ruckman for the last 10 years. Yeah. If we could get 2 years out of him, that'd be awesome, because that puts Draper and Bryant right into their key sort of numbers area, that 23 to 25, sort of 26 years old guys. That'll be 1 and 2 ruckman. If we go with the 2 ruckman thing for however
which
long,
seems to be the case that we will.
Well, it seemed to be what we did this year, and we're just going to assume that Scott likes having 2 ruckmen. I mean, I think we'd have to look back to North Melbourne. Goldie used to do a lot with Drew Petrie.
But
he was a good football player. He went Petrie. Yeah. Anyway, let's not. But he was handy. So he obviously likes having a 2 ruckman structure, 1 as a forward.
Yeah, I don't think we'll go away from that. So I hope this is one of those times where we hope rather than actually think it'll happen. But I still hope it's Draper, Brian, then Goldie.
I do too.
But acknowledging that there will be injuries. We're not sure about where Draper's at the moment and where he'll be in how many months' time. So great pickup. Just
happy. And cost us nothing.
Leader around the club, cost us nothing. Yep.
Absolutely. And an ex-Essendon supporter, I believe, wasn't he?
Yes, he's an Essendon supporter growing up. And actually in that interview with Dwayne Russell mentioned his old man being a big Essendon supporter and how much that would have meant to him. So it was really lovely. If you get a chance and you can find it. Has a 33.4% hit out to advantage rate, 1 in 3, which I would venture to say is better than our current.
Well, the other thing too is that he's going to be teaching those 2 boys how to be very good ruckmen.
Yeah, how to be really effective.
Yep. So that's going to be another positive. So it's all positives. I don't see the negative. I think that's a great choice.
Yeah. And low risk. Cost us very little.
Low risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, both of them get injured. He number 1 rocks, and you go, that's all right.
He number 1 rocks. That was funny. Second player into the club via free agency, which caused a massive stir among the AFL Twitter community, X community at least. AFLX, that was a thing, wasn't it? Ben Mackay.
Wasn't.
From North with 7 Fs at least. Let's just talk about the compensation thing first. So North Melbourne get pick 3 as compensation. I think ideal world we would have offered Mackay slightly less to ensure that North Melbourne got end of first round compo. However, Sydney and Hawthorn both chasing Mackay adds value to the geezer.
Yep.
So we had to offer him a bit more.
And you can see in both those clubs, he'd be really useful.
Yes, very. And that's how compensation works. And I don't understand how there's so much uproar. They get the first pick after their first pick.
Yep. If they'd come 18th, first, they would have got pick 19.
If they came 18th, they would have got pick 1 and 2. That's just how it works.
Right. Yep.
What happened with us and Danaher?
Yep. Happens with every club.
Dependent on your ladder position. Get over it. It just shit me. Beyond that, I was really hot and cold on Mackay last year. This year. Sorry, it's still 2023, this season. I first of all didn't think we were a chance at all. I thought if he left, it wouldn't be to us. So there's an element of that. And then the best game he played that I saw was against us, funnily enough. But
maybe he thought, right, I better lift.
It's also then, though, that we kept bombing it on his head. And if you get a bloke that's 201 centimetres and keep kicking it on his head, he's going to dominate. Like, that's just...
Yep.
We've seen that 100 times. We kick it to these intercept players or big players and they kill us. Darcy Moore, as an example. So, yeah, I'm wrapped that we got him, because if we didn't and we still lost BZT, we would be in a world of pain. However, I still think, to quote the T-shirt, we're short at all.
Well, I agree. And it doesn't... Getting the tall in, I think, if we think about it practically, it's a replacement. And I think Mackay is an upgrade on BZT. No offense.
For sure.
If that's offensive to BZT, sorry.
If you're listening.
Brendan.
I want my money back.
Sorry?
I want my money back for your fucking jumper.
I can't believe you have. Anyway, so I think he's an upgrade on BZT. But what it would have been better is if we could have kept BZT and had him. So then we had two genuine talls, like a 190, although BZT's 196 or 7, whatever it was. But then you got a 201 and a big thick set. So what I think the problem now is it was still, so it's Mackay, it's then Ridley becomes our next.
Well, I would hope that it's Laverde or...
But Ridley and Laverde would be similar heights. Like they wouldn't. I'd nearly.
Yeah, but you still. I want to. This is again hoping rather than what they'll probably do. Yep. Laverde maybe taking the second best forward with a big bastard next to him. Probably is a little bit better. Or Baldwin. That's interchangeable. Yep. What we need probably is to have Ridley as the third. So any way we could manufacture that, I'm happy. I would have loved Dougal Howard out of St Kilda.
Yep,
just as an option. But wholeheartedly agree. If we could have kept both of them.
But okay, so say we're playing Carlton and it's his brother, if he ever plays against his brother.
Yeah, still haven't.
And so which he still have. Maybe I'll do it for us.
At the same
and Curnow. So you're saying that he would play on his brother, surely, because there's perfect matchup.
Yeah. Well, yeah, quite. They swap jumpers.
Literally,
time, no one would know.
Swap jumpers.
Except Ben would probably kick straighter.
And then would Laverde go on to...
I don't think we have a matchup for Charlie Curnow anyway.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to think of opposites. Geelong
suits.
He'll play on Tomahawk. I assume Tomahawk will play another year. He'll play to his 40, I reckon. Yeah. And then what's that? Ollie Henry? What's that? I could see Laverde going to him. Is it Ollie Henry?
We've also got Jeremy Cameron.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Cameron.
Let's not forget.
Forgot about him. So who goes on him?
Yeah, well, I think that there's a theme here, right? With Mackay, we get a defender for the big bastards, which Zerk Thatcher defended admirably but couldn't keep up with. Fair enough. He's a stick by comparison.
Whereas I think Zerk Thatcher would have been really good on like a guy like Cameron because he was pretty mobile.
Yeah, a bit slow, but yeah. So the theme here,
he wasn't slow. He was not as quick as. But he was all right paced.
We've got the defender to cover the big bastard. We haven't got a defender for the agile, athletic forward. Who you probably... I mean, who has those kind of forwards? Geelong and Carlton.
Well, I'd say Collingwood's got... forwards. Melbourne will definitely have it because they'll be playing... Well, I don't know if Brown's going to get any more games, actually.
But he's the big bastard, though. He's not agile and athletic.
No,
Fritsch would be their biggest concern in that
Brisbane
regard.
have obviously got it in Danaher and what's his name?
Hipwood.
Hipwood, yep.
They're both kind of big bastards, though.
Yeah, but Danaher's obviously, as we know, over 200 odd centimetres. So that he's not as, whereas Hipwood's more your lead up forward. Danaher's more you stand in the goal square trying to take a specky.
We can go back to hating him now, right?
We always did.
No, I didn't.
So
Not on grand final day.
I still think that I'm very happy about Mackay, but I think that BCT will now, there's another hole. And hopefully, I guess now the hope is that someone like a Reed or a Hayes or someone like that comes through out of the VFL, and gets, obviously Reed is the one that got to get himself right because he hasn't played a lot of footy. Actually, and they come through to be our 200 centimetre other tall defender, because I still think that's our big weak point is that second tall. Because I don't think Laverde's tall enough or good enough. And Ridley, I think, plays a better role as more of a floating defender that can scream across, take a mark, and use the ball well.
He is a floater. I would prefer Baldwin over Lav if we're getting into semantics.
Oh,
we do.
We both agree on that, but clearly Baldwin's not getting the games because that's what happened at the end of the year when we thought he should have been played.
Well, he did get the game against Collingwood, knocked himself out in 5 minutes.
But there were other games where we felt like, hey, go.
On track for us, or for you, we did do prematurely a best 22, or best 23, in actual fact.
Yep.
And this is us, again. We had Reed. So we had Reed and Mackay. And
yep. Structurally, I think that works.
But then the rest of them, you can afford to have Heppel, Redmond, McGrath, Ridley as the others, starting defenders. Yep. And you kind of get away with it. So, yeah, I would be a huge advocate of Reed and Mackay.
I definitely think if you get Reed into that team and then like Ridley can play as a third tall or a short or small, not short, but a medium.
Cross intercepting.
Yep. And then Redmond can do a similar role. He can play on a medium, not a tall, but just a medium. And then you've got McGrath, Heppels, I'm not going to mention the one we hate, and Hind, and guys like that can play on the really smalls. So, whereas if you're then pushing Laverde to a tall, then you're stretching Ridley, and then you're stretching, Redmond, and then I think that's where I see the problem. But
it's still not.
We can't fix all the problems
bad.
in one go
I think
either.
Overall, we're better.
Yeah,
because we've got a big thick matchup for big thick forwards, and even if it is Laverde who's number 2. He's playing against number 2, which when we play Geelong, yes, that's an issue. When we play Carlton, yes, that's an issue. Generally across the rest of the comp, unless we're forgetting someone, which we probably will be,
probably.
It's okay.
Yep.
We're okay.
No, I agree.
So, yeah, I'm hoping the negative stuff we saw with Mackay was a bit of mindset, being at North Melbourne, knowing he was going in his own head, and just being at North Melbourne, that would depress me quite a bit.
Don't forget he's only played 75 games or something like that.
71, good guess.
71. So that's not a lot of footy. BCT would have played no.
Oh, you're going to make me check this, aren't you?
Yeah, BCT wouldn't be far off on the similar number. He had maybe he'd be 50, I reckon, because he had a big year last year and a pretty good year.
You're a machine. 51.
Oh.
You're a freak.
I mean, so it's one season of football difference.
And they're the same age, though, I think.
Yeah, that's bugger all, really. So if you put it in that perspective, if people there sitting there go, BCT is a good player, he would have been probably better next year. Let's agree with that. Then you would say the same about Mackay.
But we were always going to have the issue with BCT in that he's
too small still,
big enough.
Yeah, he can't get taller. He can't get taller and probably get a bit. But he doesn't seem to get heavier. He seems
not everyone can be Dustin Fletcher.
No, that's true. There's not many Dustin Fletchers like that.
No, there's not.
And the other one I put in that category is that he with 2 first names from Brisbane.
Chris Andrews.
Yeah.
He's thicker though. He's bigger than.
But he's still a skinny sort of dude. But he knows how to work it.
He's a lot stronger. Yeah. Right. Any final thoughts there? Happy to move on. Good.
No.
Jade Gresham. I'm going to have to do a lot of manipulating my brain here because I couldn't stand him.
I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really know. St Kilda's not a team I watched. They're on my very low disliked club. I distinctly remember, I reckon 2019 it must have been pre-COVID. We lost to St Kilda early in the season. Josh Bruce took mark of the year. The ball was going to go out of bounds and didn't, and we had 2 players run away from the ball. Oh, that's right. I remember that one.
And I remember that game distinctly for Mr. Gresham just doing a bit of theatrics. And from that point, not the biggest fan. But, if we had gotten the flog from Collingwood who went to the races, Ginnivan,
Ginnivan,
when they're on your team,
They seem to be less of a flog.
that you like him. Yep. So, 136 games with St Kilda, fairly durable. Played 3 games in 2021, but other than that, his worst is 18. So
yeah, that's good.
Keeps fit. Sort of a small forward, high half forward, whatever you want to describe.
And again, we
as.
paid nothing for him, did we?
He was a free agent in the end. St Kilda got end of first round compo, I think.
We didn't pay for anything except for the Dersma swap. That was the only one we actually had to give something for.
Yeah, end of first round for St Kilda. In that,
Hang on,
St Kilda got end of first round.
That was their compensation.
Yep.
Sorry.
So 136 goals in 136 games. That's lovely symmetry. I would never play another game in my life if that was the case.
You ever get to that? You
just
can
1.00 goals a game. That is hot. Average is just under 3 tackles. So fairly just dependable kind of small forward, really.
Which is the whole, like we've talked about, a big issue in the last couple of years again was that one of our big weaknesses, and you and I talked about this towards the end of last year, when you watch Collingwood play, they had their small forwards really getting up the ground and influencing. You saw it in the grand final.
Bobby Hill, what a performance!
Yeah, Bobby Hill probably got half his possessions in the defensive 50 at one stage. So when we thought of our forwards, we're thinking, well, Guelphy doesn't do that. He's not getting up the ground. We saw a tiny bit of Davey do it, but he's still such a kid. Obviously, Tip and Woody's retired, and he probably did that back in his day. That was a while ago. So we're really short that. Like Menzies was doing a bit of it, but again, just a kid. So we needed this senior body to play that role. And I guess personally, I think he pushes a guy like Guelphy a bit further out because I think that's his he's a better version of Guelphy.
I think we'd be okay. Menzies and Gresham in the same side works.
Yeah.
And then you let Davey Jr. develop in the VFL where they should be developing, not just
not
thrust straight into
football
the
when they're
every single week. Look, again, cost us nothing. Free agency works quite well for us. We're not going to be in that position like we were with Stringer, Shield, Smith, or not Stringer so much, but Shield and Smith. We traded out 3 first-round draft picks for them too.
That's right. This is smarter what we've done in that regard, talking about that, in that when we did that, we gave away so much for no success. Whereas this time we've got in players that we think are, fit a purpose, but we've given up nothing for them. Which is really important.
Yeah, and I mean the whole Shield thing is hindsight. At the time, thrilled. Let's not pretend.
Yeah.
But
well, we thought we were getting great players. Oh, Stringer, wow.
Yeah, and the key thing here for Gresham is that me and him have the same birthday. So
really?
He must not the same year, but the same date.
Of course not.
Well, I'm only 30. Steady on, Granddad.
Oh, do you know that my son and James Hird share the same birthday?
Yes, and also you could have been James Hird. Yeah.
No, that's different. I could have been James Hird. My mother dated James Hird's father. That's a different story.
Anyway, there you go. Bit of trivia. Same birthday. He's just 3 years younger, 4 years younger. I can do maths.
So I'm again very happy with this pick. He fills a void that I think you and I have talked about, and so I'm more than happy to have him come to the club. He gets out of a feral little club, maybe he'll become our
feral little.
Wow, let's be honest, St Kilda.
Yeah, I agree.
One premiership in one by 1 point. Like seriously,
I'm with you.
Gold Coast are 1 premiership behind them.
Yeah.
They've been in the competition for like 100 years.
150, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Remember when we played them and they just played their theme song over and over again? That was their celebration? Yeah, good.
1 premiership. Imagine if they'd done the cup thing.
It would have been banter to put their 1 cup in the middle of the MSC.
1 cup in the middle.
Just do some sort of cultural dance around it to try and bring another one out.
I give more respect to North Melbourne than St Kilda, seriously.
Well, North were good at some point.
Yeah, well, they've won flags.
In fact, over the last 20 years, they've been better than us. Where's our compo picks?
Yep.
AFL.
Yeah, they've won. That was an interesting. I saw that stat the other day that they have a higher win-loss ratio than we do over the last 20 years.
Yeah, you know what the argument is we're going to have is the drug saga.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
But anyway, moving on.
Big Dog Gresh, good. Good get, again, costing us nothing and can scarcely go wrong. Now, the one geezer that did cost us a thing or two was Xavier Dersma. Probably, yes. Good from you.
For those people who aren't watching at home, I did the bow and arrow thing.
Yeah. I forget. I really do, because I can see you. And
I know, and I know what you did, and then I know what happened.
People can't see. Probably the one I'm most excited about in terms of upside is only 23. Isn't 24 until July, so he's on the other side of 23.
Was a first round draft pick in his day,
which is good. Yes, 73 games,
which is a lot. He's more than Kai
in 5 years of football at Port. Genuine winger.
Yeah,
we're getting loves the snag, hence the bow and arrow. Can get his own footy in the clearances. Is that clearances or is that clangers? Hang on, let me just double check. That is clearances. Good. The AFL tables, CL could be clangers, could be clearances. So better check. Great website though. Tackles, kicks a goal every second game essentially. But quick, young. That's the key thing here. Young, upside.
Yep.
And with a bit of luck, we might be able to trade and get his brother.
Doubt it, but I like the idea. It'd be good if we could, because his brother's meant to be quite. As always, the second one is better.
Yeah, is he?
Yeah,
is that are we only basing this off Dacos? Is there any other?
No, but there's plenty. Merritt. Is Merritt the second one?
Yeah, okay,
his
fair.
brother was at the club.
Yes, Haxon was terrible.
I don't know Heppel. Heppel's brother was at the club. If he was the younger or the older one.
No, Dyson came first. There, that's
okay,
your point wrong.
That's going to crush that theory.
We can call it the Dacos rule and be done with it. It's fine.
No, there's others. But I won't go into it because it's too.
Because you can't think of any.
Too much thinking about them. People, if you're out there, make a comment.
Which of the cloaks came
cloaks?
First?
Yeah, the second cloak was better. The Rockers, Sav Rocker and Junior Rocker.
Anthony.
Whatever his name was. The other one. Well, he's younger.
Anthony.
He wasn't he called Pebbles?
I don't know. It's before my time of watching footy.
God, yeah. It's true.
All I know about Anthony Rocker is he could
Danahers.
He could kick long.
I think Terry. Anthony was the best. No, not Anthony. Sorry. Terry was bloody. I'll stop because I'm showing my age.
Yeah, and if I don't remember Anthony Rocker, I've got Buckley's of the Danahers.
The Danahers. There's 5 of them, I think, wasn't there? 4 or 5. Anyway, moving on. Dersma. I think the thing with Dersma for me is that he's a bit unknown. Like, I watched him play, I'll be honest, and I thought, oh, he's pretty good. But I've never really, when his name was thrown up, I went, oh, okay, he's an interesting one. I mean, he's a winger. We've got wingers. I thought he's probably better than the ones we got, but then it'd be interesting to see how it
the interesting thing
does.
Yes. So the interesting thing to talk about here then is who becomes the winger. So late in the year, we saw all sorts. We saw Mr. Kelly on the wing, which still boggles the mind. That was about it, actually. Oh, Cox was the other one that rotated through.
Yep, Cox had a little run around there.
Mardo,
I reckon Heppel had a run through there too.
Yes. With Nick Martin, 2027, up the Rusty.
Yep.
Screw you, West Coast. And Stuz rotating through that. We spoke about this when we were just chatting, as we do. There's still a spot for Durham in that side somewhere. He was always kind of the defensive winger, the more defensive winger of the two. There's no reason he can't be that still and have Rusty play half forward or in the middle or wherever you need Rusty, because he's just beautiful. And then have Dersma the perma wing. You still need 3 wingers to sort of rotate.
I guess
you still need the rotation. So Cox is the other one we probably could have thrown into the defender conversation.
True.
Being just tall.
And he played the role. He played...
And he looked okay.
5 or 6 games he played as that tall defender. Then in the sort of, I think in those games too, and like in the second half of those games, he was going playing on a wing for
Yeah,
patches.
that
which
was the
very
North game.
strange.
I remember distinctly. He was
Yeah,
playing
I reckon he did
defence.
in the West Coast game too.
Yeah, the North game. I remember he was playing defence, and we're going, yeah, this is actually all right. He's playing well. And then the next minute he's on the wing, and you go, wait, what?
Yeah, and we're like, but
Poor
he was
guy.
working all right
He
back
was
there.
doing so well. Yeah. Anyway, don't
I
question
think what's interesting is that the 4 players we've mentioned, I would hazard guess that they all come into the 22. Would that be the Goldstein's obviously
it.
for
Goldstein's the asterisk because of Draper.
yeah,
Yes,
because we think he'll play for Draper for a few games. But the other 3, so that means, and obviously with the 11 that we mentioned earlier out, but only BZT, and I wouldn't even say Massimo was in that 22. Like
he
he would have
wasn't at
only
the end
played.
of the season.
No, he would have only played 4 or 5 games last year, I'd guess.
So we had. I mean, this is our best 22. We had, and to put it in perspective, these are the emergencies: Wiedemann, Shield, Sardis, and Cox. We couldn't quite fit Cox in. Yeah.
That's what she said.
That wasn't deliberate. And then our depth, and this is showing our bias a little bit. Laverde, Hayes, Guelphy, Jones, Baldwin, Kelly. I nearly said what we called him. Davey Jr., Jaden Davey, and Tex. So
yep.
we put in all those 4. You're right. So we had Draper injured with an asterisk.
That's right. So what we're saying is the 11 have gone out, although a lot, none of them really seen, except for BCT, was a senior player. So the 4, if not 3, coming in, asterisks, they're all got to probably squeeze in.
Well,
so
they're better than Snelling. Snelling was the only one really that was playing.
Yeah, true. Snelling would be someone I would
BZT.
say was probably in the best 20. Who played a few games. Oh, yeah, Flipper, but
only through circumstance. Not best 22.
No.
Quote unquote.
Anyway, so we suggest that you sit down and do a best 23 and see how you go squeezing a few players in and out and put it in the comments below and show us.
We bitched out a little bit and put Durham on the bench because we couldn't
quite figure out
because we knew where he went.
And then we didn't play Sardis because we're like, surely he can play a few games in the VFL, get himself up to speed.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with him, but again, he's a kid.
Shield was another challenging one for us. We're like, well, we have to.
Shield, we had emergency.
Yep. And then for example, Hobbs was the one there, wasn't it? So do you pick? It was nearly came down to Hobbs or Shield.
Yeah, which we went with Hobbs because.
Well, he's 21-year-old version.
And was an AFL player last year. He wasn't a kid. He was proper. footy.
He played 12, 15 games straight after missed the first 5 or so, and then was a very, very good player in patches of that. So it's really quite a challenge.
His game. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, we always, every single Essendon fan who's a real nuff like us does a best 23, and they're almost always wrong. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see how you fit them all in because
Shield, and there's a bias too in that because there's players
we had Laverde not even as an emergency
because we don't like him.
In reality, he's probably playing.
Not definitely. Well, we had Kelly not in the team. In reality, he's probably going to play too. We don't understand that one.
Interestingly, the AFL and Fox have both done best 22s for every club.
Oh, really?
Kelly not in both.
Oh,
so that's excellent. They don't rate him either. Yeah. Anyway, anything else on that before we jog on to the draft?
No, I mean, the bigger question is, does it make us a better team?
Yes.
Like with those ins and outs.
Yes. If you're saying Gresham for Guelphy.
Yep.
Not that Guelph was playing regularly, but
no, but we'll just throw that in there. Yep.
Goldstein for Phillips.
Yep. And from injuries, he comes in and does the carrying there. That's beautiful.
Mackay for BZT, other way around.
Yep.
Dersma's the only one that's not really replacing someone specifically. Probably Snelling, I guess, he's kind of the player, not the position.
Yep.
That's an upgrade.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, well, I don't. In theory, it should be an upgrade. I mean, Dersma's only still a young kid. He still hasn't.
If he can kick 35 meters, he's in.
He can kick further than him. Yeah, that's true. So
can kick over a jam tin.
Yep.
Now, just quickly, we want to talk about the draft. So, current draft hand is 935. I've written 35 twice. 931, 35, 61, and 88. Bit of guesswork here in that I think Baldwin will be an upgrade from a rookie spot. Zane Dersma currently predicted by everyone's mate Cal Toomey to go pick 3.
Oh, it's gonna be a challenge to get to that one.
Is it pick 3? Just let me fact check that. No, yep, pick 3. Would be lovely, but unlikely. So I'm going to introduce it and let you talk about it because you're the nuffy for this sort of stuff.
I don't know about the nuffy. I'm just the one that gets the job.
You've listened to Cal's pod and all that. Likely suspects are Jesus Christ. Likely suspects: Connor O'Sullivan, Caleb Windsor. Great opportunity for nicknames there. Nate Caddy and Darcy Wilson. So, starting with Connor O'Sullivan, go. Your time to shine.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. It's only no pressure. Jesus Christ. Connor O'Sullivan is the one that I think is the one I'm most interested in. Cal Toomey had him at pick 10, which is obviously there's going to be some bids come forward with Gold Coast.
Our pick 9 likely becomes 11, 12-ish. Yep.
Yeah, Gold Coast might even have to take 2 or 3 people. There's a few guys in there that'll be jumped up. But Connor O'Sullivan, so he's a 196, 198, sorry. My eyesight's a mold. And a 92 kilos. Yeah, key defender / forward. I mean,
born in 2005. Christ, that makes
me
feel ancient.
Sam? How old are you?
Wow,
You're born in the 90s.
It's not fair.
Born in the 70s.
So he's listed it as a key defender / forward, which
it's sexual.
Kind of appealing, isn't it? Yeah.
So again,
played in
the other
this year.
Yeah. So he's a utility. The other one, obviously, I think is a pretty good chance is Caleb Windsor, who's a midfielder, 185, 74 kilos. Also again, I think they're both Victorian kids, so you sort of that's a little tick.
O'Sullivan's Murray Bush Rangers and Mr. Windsor is Eastern Rangers.
The question the question I would have is, do we need another midfielder? Like, I would rather us drag a tall in because I think they have value. If it doesn't work out, they're still.
I would have really argued that we probably could have traded pick 9 this year. Of all the years to trade a first round draft pick, I would have been comfy. We've got a log jam of these young kids.
Yep.
And you're right, at just another midfielder or another forward or defender who's going to take 5 years.
But then do we look like a club that thinks it's going somewhere and we're trading it? Because if you give a pick 9, what are you doing with it? You've got to get a good player. You're not just giving it away. You have a 9.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting comfy.
I wonder too more on that I think there's some big players coming next year in like Bailey Smiths and the guys that'll be in what's it called out of their contracts.
Free agents.
Free agents. You're a bit far away.
Isn't Bond out of contract next year?
Well, he's not coming to us. But there'll be a few players that'll be like Harms and a few other not Harms. Anyway, players. The third one I'd quickly mention was Darcy Wilson.
Oh, that wrong way. Yep.
Again, they were midfielder / forward. I'm a bit
180. That looks like a 6, right?
I couldn't read that either too. I found that hard to read. And the last one is Nate Caddy, who's
probably unlikely given his pick 8.
Very unlikely. Like he's in it.
It's a 6.
They've got him, but he's a key forward / midfielder. So again, don't mind them.
I can't wrap my head around key anything / midfielder. Because key forward, key back means you're big, you're tall.
Well, he's 193, so what's that, 6'2" or 3? No, 190.
Paddy Cripps, 194?
Yeah, 6'4", I think it must be. Anyway, that's pretty tall. He's good weight too, like nearly 90 kilos as an 18-year-old. That's a thick set mofo.
Chunky, yeah.
Which is, I think, is what I'm looking for. I don't need more skinny little buggers. We've got enough of them.
All right, so Nate Caddy's unlikely given that he's listed at pick 8 and we're probably going to end up with pick 11 or 12 or something like that.
Yep.
Connor O'Sullivan's the one you want.
Connor O'Sullivan is my tick box. And then I reckon I'll fall back to Windsor. Caleb.
Windsor.
Winzip,
Jesus. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Who did Cal have us taking?
Well, he doesn't know. He's got there's a bunch of all these guys that, all the clubs are talking to them around our picks, the Geelongs, the Adelaides, and all those clubs that are around our pick are all talking to these kids because I think there's a bit of unknown about how the draft's going to go. So clearly Reed's going to go number 1. There's no doubts about that. 2 and 3 will
Known that
probably
for
go off
12
to
months.
Gold Coast. And then our boy, Dersma, and the other really good player, Watson and Walter will be Walter's Watson and Dersma are the two sort of really stars in the top 3 or 4.
Mm. Nick
So
Watson's
it
an
all just
interesting
depends
one.
on how that goes.
Pick 5, 170 centimeters.
But apparently,
That's...
how many goals? Have a look at his stats. 70 goals.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's so
Can
small,
kick a
though.
snag. Yep.
What's Caleb
So
Daniel?
he's obviously talented.
Just as a
I wonder if
reference point.
wouldn't it be great if he's one of those kids that, I'm not picking him, he's too small, and we got down to it. I'd go a kid like that. I'd love to have a 170, just that absolute small forward gun. They are worth a mint.
Yeah.
You look at the really, really good ones over the history.
Well, one has just won a Norm Smith medal. Probably not that small, but a small forward.
What do you call him? Small?
What would you define as small?
Oh, I guess he is small.
He's 175. That's freaking puny.
Yep, yeah, you're right.
Because he's so skinny.
Light.
He feels taller. Yeah.
So you're right. But I was thinking more like, I think that their value to teams, because that's the real threat. Sydney with Papley.
I like Papley.
I'm thinking of what's his name when he was at Carlton and Adelaide. He was Eddie Betts was unreal player. Yeah, he was someone I would have loved to have at Essendon.
Do it as a small forward. Yeah.
To go back into Essendon's history, we've had Darren Buick and a few other really Tony Bahaja, some real classic small forwards. Yeah, you got that one, don't you? And you go, who the fuck's that? So I'd love the idea of a really like a 70 sort of or 60 sort of goal scoring small forward. That'd 60 goals a year. That'd be just unreal.
For reference, Caleb Daniel 168.
Small potato.
Well, yeah, he's tiny. I know he's tiny. He's the smallest.
Yeah, and he's made a career out. He plays him up the other end. Small potato, small potato, small potatoes. Remember that one?
Oh, come for the football, stay for the singing.
Classic song.
Do you mean Hot Potato?
No. This show there was a kid show. Small potato, small potato, small.
But that's
you
a
watch
Wiggles
that on
song.
ABC?
It's Hot Potato,
Eh?
Hot Potato. It's a Wiggles song.
I know that. But there was a small potatoes. There was a little show on. There were all little potatoes that used to jump around their little faces.
When you were a kid or when your kids were kids?
When your children were children.
Hey, what?
We'll Google it later, people.
No, what era?
It's on the ABC.
Right now.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's on right now. It was on when my children were children, only 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, okay. How old are your children? Like 13, 12?
Well, 10. 5 years ago, we were still watching
How old
am I? We always have to get back to the same argument every time about how old you are.
Okay. If you've had a small potato, you can verify Nathan's sanity.
Put a little smile. Put a little spud. Can you do like a spud emoji thing? I don't understand.
Yeah, there is a spud emoji.
Put that in the chat, in the comments.
Old man. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume he means hot potato and move on to nothing. That was it. That's all we have. So
can't wait to prove you right after this.
We're going to hang up this call straight away.
And I'm going to type in small potato and show you the damn video.
I'm going to bed.
So anyway, I mean, who knows with draft picks, but
it's a lottery anyway.
It's a lottery. I like the idea of a tall because of the previous conversation we've just had in that last year we drafted the Davey boys, and obviously you'd think that their future is to play as small forwards / maybe midfielders in the future, but I still think, depending on how Reed and Hayes and those Jones and Wiedemann, who are our 4 sort of correct age talls, how all they go. Should you have another one of them? Yes, probably.
Yeah, fair enough. Like you said, worth more.
I think currency. If you pick a tall and he plays 50, like BCT, for example, for his value for what he would have been like a high draft, like a 60 pick. Like not a very good pick.
He's in the 60s or 70s, yeah.
Yep, and he's only played 2 good years of footy with us. Like he barely skipped a game.
25.
Yeah, I know, but it took him, obviously, that's the thing with talls. It takes them a while to get going, and then when that's where they get going, that's when their value really hits. Yep. Whereas I guess you could make the comparison between Gresham and Mackay is that Mackay's got more value than Gresham because he's probably a taller defender and they're harder to get than small forwards.
Any tall player, yes, worth more immediately.
Yeah.
But prime aged, key position, 200 centimetres thick, heavy, all that. Absolutely.
But if Papley, so is Papley, or if Papley was 23 and played, or 20, whatever, 5 and played 75 games, would he be valued more?
It's hard.
Who knows?
I personally would still have the keys. I would take the keys over smaller players any day because the smalls are easier to replace. Papley is an extreme example because he's a very good footballer. He's a little rat. He tackles, he kicks goals. Same with now Bobby Hill, all those kind of guys.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, that I agree, but I still think that the clubs look for the tools and pay more for tools.
But there will be exceptions.
Yep, of course.
Which will be possibly the Papleys. I'm trying to think of a really elite small player now. I can't think of anyone. Dacos.
Different role. Yeah. Anyway, I think we're running out of it.
Yep, let's wrap. We haven't spoken about this. I don't think we'll do a draft wrap just because...
Because we're only going to have 3 picks. I doubt we'd go past the 30s. I'm fascinated how we've lost 7. We've gained 4. We've only got 4 or 5 picks in the draft. That still doesn't make 11. Well, 4 and we need 6 like picks. Short. We don't have... We're not going to pick into the 80s. No one picks into the 80s.
Let's don't worry about it. Let's not get into it. So, yeah, we'll possibly be back February, March and chat pre-season shenanigans.
Yep.
In the meantime, it is only November, but stay safe. Have a great Christmas, everyone who's listening once it gets to that point. And, yeah, go Dons.
Go Bombers.